Hello everyone. So today we will be exploring the secret ingredient in perfumes. For the background of the ethical issue I'll be discussing, it will be in regards to a particular animal byproduct called ambergris, which has been utilized as an exclusive ingredient to assist in medicinal purposes and also provide depth to perfumes. While it is derived from sperm whales, the use of ambergris is illegal within the United States, yet is often welcomed in foreign markets around the world. International perfume brands primarily incorporate ambergris in their scents. And initially, this substance was used in small amounts. However, it is used widely within the perfume industry. And on the left is a simple diagram of the process of how we are able to smell ambergris in our perfume. So, ambergris is a waxy substance that forms in the gut of the sperm whales in order to protect their intestinal tract. The substance can either turn into vomit, waste, or ultimately a blocked mass that fatally harms and in some cases kills the whale. This substance is also caused by an irritation from undigested octopus, cuttlefish, and squid beaks while they are consuming them. And you can find ambergris typically along the surface of the sea or along coastal areas. And it has been said that the finest quality comes from those pieces that are floating on top of the sea that has received the most sunlight. And this is on the left-hand side. So ambergris typically starts in the gray stage, and then it eventually darkens as it ages and becomes more potent in smell. And finally, ambergris can be worth up to $40,000 per kilogram. So it's pretty lucrative to find this and sell it. So ambergris has been described to have an earthy or sweet musk-like smell. It's one of the most valuable raw materials used in perfumery. However, since sperm whales are an endangered species, it puts them at risk of being hunted illegally for their meat, oil, and also ambergris. And also, although synthetic ambergris is produced for this very same purpose of developing perfumes, it's rarely used as an option when it comes to luxury brands, and they prefer to have the real thing. I wanted to quickly highlight brand distributors who are involved in using real ambergris in their perfume scents. A few notable mentions that stand out to me is Chanel, Tom Ford, and Calvin Klein. So I was thinking about an ethical loophole in this case, due to the fact that the Endangered Species Act of 1970 federally lists sperm whales as endangered. And they're also protected by the Marine Mammal Protection Act. However, using their waste has not been prohibited, nor detailed exclusively. So therefore, its usage is permitted in the UK, France, Switzerland, and New Zealand. And I found this pretty interesting. For the principles of practice, for integrity, I found that companies that use this animal byproduct for some potency do lack integrity, since this ingredient is very unnecessary and exploitive. For competence, distributors do not appear to have the competence to understand the potential risk of toxins that are present in ambergris. For example, going back to how this substance is formed, the irritation that occurs when ambergris is being formed actually also has to do with the toxins that are present in the beaks of squid, octopus, and cuttlefish. So the beak is essentially its defense mechanism when it does feel like it's under it. When it does feel like it is under threat. So the venom that's present in the beak is also involved in the process of creating ambergris. So then ultimately, consumers are also at risk of the venomous substances. For responsibility, distributors have a responsibility to uphold full transparency of all ingredients to consumers. And I found that due to how this issue, or more importantly, this ingredient, has not been discussed enough, it is very concerning because consumers should know what is going on their skin. Not every customer is spraying on their clothes. And it's just important just to know how things are made altogether. For respect, the level of respect is very low. As I mentioned just previously, this ingredient is not highlighted enough for consumers to know what exactly they're buying, what they're essentially put on their skin, how that's going to affect the health. And finally, for concern, the concern is primarily focused on profit because addressing this issue widely to consumers may lead to lower sales if this issue is publicly addressed. Also, there is no concern for the sperm whales. And I believe that is primarily why this issue has not been addressed. Because if people were aware of how their scents are developed and knowing the potential risk involved, I do think that there would possibly be a lowered amount of sales. And at the end of the day, the perfume industry has a reputation to uphold. So for stakeholders and political actors, I found that for stakeholders, it would include environmental organizations, environmental scientists, perfume distributors, collectors, traders, hunters, and customers. And for political actors, it would include fragrance manufacturers, perfumers, black market distributors, well hunters, fragrance development experts, and finally, privately owned fragrance testing companies. And for my policy alternative, researchers from the University of British Columbia developed a plant based alternative found in the gene of balsam fir trees. So, the fir tree extract should be implemented into the perfume development process since it is a cheaper and sustainable alternative than ambergris. And I found this to be very interesting, knowing that there is a plant-based alternative for those consumers who choose to go with a more sustainable method of scents instead of risking the unknown of what could take place with continuing to buy perfumes that have ambergris and knowing how it is processed. This alternative also demonstrates that perfume brands are willing to be environmentally conscious to risk factors regarding ambergris. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you all so much.